Maru, TY, Classic, Bunny. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 2.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for the final best of 3 of the evening. I gotta say, man, GSL always delivers. I mean, these games have been so good. And I'm glad we're going to end this with a PVT.
Every single series so far has had really good games, and the players that have impressed me the most have been these guys right here, Classic and TY. Classic showing that he's kind of reinvented himself coming into this GSL Code S, coming with some really creative builds in his first series of the day, and I just love to see what he's doing. And meanwhile, TY, I mean, it's his first GSL Code S back, and here he is, one match away from qualifying for the round of 8 after beating a top 4 Terran player last season in an epic TVT.
You know, Classic, it's weird because, you know, TY is so hyped, but I'm almost more excited with how Classic's approached this. But TY, I mean, what he managed to do versus Bunny, and the last game we just saw, by the way, best game of the day by far. Yeah. I don't know that we're going to top that, and that might be the best game of the round of 16. It was so good. But how is Classic going to approach this? He's showed a pretty wide range of ideas. Does he have another layer on top of that weird proxy combo into the gold base, if we could get that?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Notably, the path qualifying for GSL Code S, TY did defeat Classic 2-0. So
right.
There might be a little bit of metagaming, a little bit of trickery here as we get ready to go into set number 1 on ESL New Humanity. Last match of Group A.
Group A.
I'll get it down sometime.
Code S. No, I still mess it up. It's been a decade plus. All right, guys, this is it. The final best of 3 of the night. Let's see who moves on to the round of 8 and who's knocked out of the GSL.
Twisted Minds, Classic. Guangdong Freaks, TY.
It's been a minute since we had Code A. I'm surprised that's still on my mind.
It was, well, I mean, I'm glad we don't have Code A anymore. You know, a little bit of GSL history. It was fun when we had it, right? Because we got to see this qualifier league. But then when you look at it from like an expense level, it's like, well, it costs the same to make Code A as it does to make Code S. Yeah. You just have more Code S's, right? So that was the idea there. The probe's out on the middle of the map.
Yeah, I was wondering what that probe was up to. Looked like at first scouting by the Zeldonga Tower for any kind of proxies, and now moving across the middle.
Yeah, it seems like no matter what, Classic is going to send a worker out right away.
Yeah. I feel like you kind of have to in this matchup. There's so many tricky builds that Terran can come out with. You know, so many different flavors of like a 1-1-1 opening or proxy barracks, proxy factory, proxy starport, that you really want to gather as much intel as you possibly can as Protoss. And yep, all right. Command center a little bit out of place, so we'll have to lift that later. For putting it back down, I feel like it's such a win. Anytime that command center is like one hex off, I feel so good.
Well, you know why? Because you know how bad it feels when your build order is tripped up at all at the start of a game?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I hate this. Now everything's like slightly off.
Warp gate started here for Classic. We'll see if he cancels that and goes for a quick Stargate, or if he keeps it, goes for a Twilight. Seems like it might be a Twilight Council opening for him. Curious to see. He has been mixing up his openings a lot recently, especially here today. I feel like almost every single game we've gotten a little bit of a flavor of these 2 adepts moving across the map, but the other things that Classic has done behind it have been so creative, and we haven't even really seen this Phoenix Colossus style that, you know, was his bread and butter last season. It's something he showcased a lot in ESL. Very recently in the summers.
Yeah.
Makes him hard to predict.
That's always the sign of a great player, is when you're hard to predict and kind of good at all the things that, you know, you've practiced. So in this game, I mean, look, we've seen this plenty of times, not just from Classic, but from Protoss and against Terran for years and years of Legacy of the Void. I mean, you're going to get the blink out, you're going to play defense. He's probably going to get a third base, although there is a variation where you can go you know, robo or 4-gate into aggression, which some Koreans say is not good anymore. Some foreigners still think is viable.
Yeah, it's still very popular in the foreign scene. Maxpax especially one of those Protoss players that just seems to always be able to find damage with Link Stalkers on different sides of the map.
Yeah, kind of coming in there and just seeing what you can get done.
Yeah, with only 2 gateways getting thrown down in Classic space, I'm imagining that we're going to have something, you know, I would say that the typical Protoss player would go for a 3rd and then go up to Colossus, but Classic, he's a little bit more conservative with those expansion timings. I would not be surprised to see him go for a Robo Bay, 3rd command center behind it, and try and do a little tiny bit of blink pressure here with Link Stalkers and a Warp Prism out of those 3 gateways. Yeah, the second Gas Geyser is, to me, the really big tell that we will have a Robo Bay going down with that Nexus.
Right, yeah. Well, then you're like, okay, you really need to get extra gas right now. You need to tech up even more. And so we've got a medevac drop coming down here. There is a spotter pylon. I like that we're having stuff like this out.
Yeah, both Classic and TY today showcasing some really great spotting with these pylons and supply depots. Unfortunately, not able to catch a glimpse of this one. Is Classic a little bit late? Okay, does respond in time.
So, not bad. 2 probes, and he's not going to suffer any losses. Can these stalk? No. You know, it's funny. They're about a second out. They can't blink over the minerals and really catch it. It might have even been worth it to burrow that Widow Mine and try to kill that other probe. But
I love the Observer going back to the Twilight Council to see the Classic frantically chrono boosted it one last time just to try to get it out. But no, barely missed it. And yeah, here's the Robo Bay. Their Nexus goes down right behind it.
That is a moment, you know, you were talking earlier about the command center being delayed and how you love that. But it's like all these little delays can lead up to a moment where it's like, oh, had he been a little bit faster somehow, maybe he would have been able to catch that.
And a lot of other RTS games, those seconds, they don't matter too much, but StarCraft 2 is so cutthroat at the top pro level.
Yeah.
More than any other RTS I've ever played. I don't know if there's an RTS that is as, you know, hanging on a knife's edge as StarCraft 2.
It's pretty brutal. I think it's the combination of the speed of the game and that things die quickly.
Yeah,
where it's like, I mean, Widow Mine, I remember when Widow Mine drops first became a thing, and Protosses are like, are you serious? Yeah. I don't have my screen in this spot. If I don't catch this, I just probably lose the game.
I remember when the meta was to build a forge on like 2 Nexuses as you take your 3rd Nexus and you build cannons in every mineral line.
Yeah. And it's funny because like, well, that will probably stop a Widow Mine drop. But then when you get high enough, it's like, yeah, but you have 2 cannons in your base now. That could have been 2 more gateways.
The thing was funny about it was it also didn't really stop the Widow Mine drop effectively. Like if you have 4 Widow Mines, like, yeah, one of them's going to die. You're still going to get 3 shots off it.
Yeah, you're still going to actually get in there.
But yeah, it's been fun watching StarCraft 2 develop over the years, and anytime these players can try to find any edge, even if it's just a couple of seconds, like delaying TY's expansion, for instance, they will go for it. And wow, Classic moving out with 2 sentries, a couple of units, and 2 more factories going down from TY. Is he going to play mech? Whoa! This is crazy, Tasteless.
This is wild. I was not really expecting this. I really thought TY was going to play more of an ordinary game. It's kind of funny. We have players that do like to mess with mech. I just didn't think that TY was going to be like coming back and then using this in this matchup, right? TVT, sure, fine. We've seen pretty much every Terran have a mech phase. In tournaments, are like, well, this is kind of what I'm running right now. People have kind of figured out my bio style or you know, whatever it's going to be. But yeah, to use it like this, now, you know, a lot of times all Protoss have to do is get 4 or 5 bases up, an array of splash damage, and they're kind of, like a lot of times their job's done. Does that make sense? Like they're like, no, I got what I wanted.
Yeah.
I have the tech and I'm happy to fight. But a mech game makes the dynamic of the game very different, right? But when you go mech, especially if you're going to be heavy on siege tanks, which clearly TY is, a lot of times you don't have any way to interact with the other player, which, you know, would prove to be a situation that would allow Classic to kind of get to where he wants to be. So let's see how TY wants to handle this in a longer game, because I don't think this game's going to be ending before 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm wondering exactly when Classic is going to catch wind of precisely what TY's game plan is, because this is mech, but it's not battle mech, it's slow mech. We got siege tanks coming in, and with this Phoenix coming through, I mean, 18 Marines right now in the middle of the field. All right, the Phoenix is going to make its way into the main base and scout these factories. So Classic now certainly does know it's mech, but what is the approach going to be here as Protoss? And you see him instantly start to poke and prod forward, but I mean, those siege tanks catch, they have such a punch Stalker just instantly evaporated. Stargate thrown down there by Classic. Proxy Gateway here at what could be the 4th base for TY.
Now, Mac, we see it least against Protoss. We see it more against Terran, and then probably after that we see it against Zerg, right? But when Protoss have to deal with Mac, a lot of times the games kind of almost look like Brood War games, where the Protoss takes a lot of the map. They're very happy to make lots of gateways. They're happy to kind of have these kind of unconventional games where it's like, all right, I'm going to trade in my army many times over. I'm going to rely on counterattacks many times over. And kind of take advantage of the fact the mech army is clunky. And then because I can take up so much of the map, I can basically make a lot more units and trade them out, even if it's inefficient, because I have more bases.
For Classic, the response is going to be 3 Stargates with a Fleet Beacon. I'm assuming it's a Tempest, but Carrier's also a possibility here later on, as Classic right now just kind of sharking around the middle of the map. A push from TY at this moment could be very scary, because keep in mind, with those 18 Marines that he has on the field, the threat, oh my goodness, this Warp Prism. Threading the needle.
Yeah, somehow it's not dead.
Oh, the depots are down here, but
yeah.
okay.
They're like, don't stay down forever. No, attack through.
Yeah, I thought for a moment TY might actually just try to push across the map and start sieging down some bases, because his standing army is very powerful. And yeah, Carrier's coming out now for Classic.
And he's going to try to attack in here once more. Now, I guarantee you that Classic wasn't expecting to play this game. Really good force field there.
Yeah, that force field sectioning off the SCVs, 20 of them in total falling across multiple bases. Nice win there for Classic, but I mean, TY, just every single game he's played, whether it be against Maru, against Bunny, against Classic, he does not stop making SCVs. He lost 20 SCVs, he's still at 77.
Yeah, he's not done.
I mean, he just pumps them out until he's maxed. It's crazy.
Classic has reached all the way through to the bottom left and is going to try to reach all the way up to the top right with bases. He's maxed out again. He needs to look for another trade here and basically keep the supply cap oppressed here for TY.
He would like to start to remax on a better army composition.
Yeah.
I love this from TY. This is the 3rd time TY has dropped a scan exactly like this. He knows the tech options that are available for Classic, but he doesn't know exactly how Classic is navigating the unit composition. So he's scanning the Robos, he's scanning the Stargates at different time intervals to see, okay, what units are coming out right now? What army do I need to make the deal with it? Oh my goodness.
Really good engage from Classic here. Somehow that tank doesn't die, but and then he's going to use that supply drop to make 3 more carries. He's already got 3 out. 6 is, you know, I know it's double, but it's a lot more than 3. You know, it's a very scary number. And in that time, he can, you know, get all the interceptors and everything else he needs.
It's a very snowbally unit, and looking at the unit production here for TY, he's just right now pumping Vikings and siege tanks, and I understand him wanting to replenish the siege tank count after losing a handful of them outside of that middle base, but it does become a little bit scary because, just pure Viking alone against Carrier, should some Tempest start to get mixed in with that, suddenly you're playing against this long-range unit. It's a very awkward dance where the Carriers in a straight-up fight might just win.
Now, it's funny, I was talking earlier about, like, well, a lot of times it kind of looks like a StarCraft 1 PvT, and a lot of times that's like just, mass zealots and stalkers. We saw Hero do this, I can't remember against who, but he fought somebody who mech'd. But you could also in StarCraft 1 just go carriers versus mech, and so that, that's what we're seeing right now over here.
Yeah, Gateway Man and Carriers, both in StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
Exactly, and so he's basically going to roam with the carriers, and this allows you to snipe the tanks or anything else that looks like an enticing place to get. So now a turret ring goes down.
Yeah, this is to deal with the carriers, but I'm not sure if Classic, or TY, excuse me, is aware that 2 more Stargates actually got thrown down during all this. So Classic is making an almost pure Sky Toss switch.
He's getting Tempest, right?
Yeah, Tempests are in production. He's also getting the, I never know what the upgrades are called. The one that makes him do more damage to buildings.
Tempest damage upgrade.
That's it. That's my new headcanon. This is a nice trade, by the way, here for Classic. That's a lot of carriers going down. Does he have vehicle armor or something? I mean, that was pretty sick. I thought that would be better.
I kind of thought these carriers were going to be a fixture of this game, and now we're already back down to 2, so.
Yeah, not really the engagement that Classic wanted there. And, you know, one thing that's surprising me here for Classic is he's not really establishing many outposts in the middle of the map, as we often see players do when they play mech, where they will throw down, you know, some shield batteries, some cannons, just to provide the ground support for a mostly air army. I guess at this point, you know, going with Disruptors and Colossi, he doesn't feel like he needs that just yet, but it would be a boon in a situation where Vikings can just dive the Air Force like we just saw.
Yeah. You know, right now it's clear that TY is not going to die. Okay. But Classic is not getting impeded. Like, he's just continuing to get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, if you look at the incomes at the bottom, Classics is comically big. We actually almost never have games in any matchup where, like, the income is this insane.
We almost have 200 supply of workers between both players, which is just crazy.
It's crazy,
especially
man.
for a PvT of all matchups.
You know that the quadrant rule we talk about in StarCraft 1, where Terran can't get out of their their like little quadrant of the map, is generally true because of siege tanks. And I know, you know, Maru kind of makes this not true in TVZ, and that's really why he's exceptional. But you know, when you go mech against Protoss, it is hard to, like, you know, take half the map.
Although with this middle base here as TY, it does make that a little bit easier. You don't really need to come too far out of your shell to expand from 4 bases to 5 bases and get that critical 5th gas.
Yeah.
So that is nice here for him. I mean, if TY right now is just sitting on 4 bases without that, you know, high yield Vespene Geyser in the middle, I wouldn't be surprised if his gas count right now is very close to 0, but instead able to build a bank is TY, as we have Classic once again pushing in. Disruptors will trade out for Widowmine, handful of siege tanks, but this game is becoming increasingly about the air. 21 Vikings on the field now for TY, and now starting to mix in battle cruisers and Ravens.
Yeah, this is, you know, it's funny, we're watching him come in. Very, very bad trades. Again, if you have this much more of the map, you can kind of do that, but these trades are really bad.
Yeah,
like, all those units for like a tank and a turret, you know?
It makes me wonder what the game plan is exactly for Classic. And I know that these gateway units are the least valuable units. You know, you're only throwing away, like, you're throwing away these mineral units for gas units. You're killing these siege tanks, and potentially TY might want to remax on those or invest in something else to try and deal with these run buys. But what is the game plan here for Classic? Because it feels like TY isn't truly breakable. I mean, Mothership here is underway. We're getting basically every single upgrade on the books for both players. I mean, Yamato cannons coming in. I'm sure we're going to see DT Blink come in as well. And for Classic, he's just trading cooldowns for structures, but it feels like it's hard for him to find any true avenue to break TY out of his shell. And TY now setting up what is eventually going to be a planetary here in the top right. 2 planetaries, in fact, one by the Zelnaga Tower. He's going to have half the map, and considering how cost-efficient he's been to this point, that's an endgame that he wins, unless Classic is able to make something happen.
Well, the danger for TY is going to be for how spread out the map is. If he finally gets that, that's where it gets a little bit easier to kind of penetrate one of these positions.
Classic continuing to move forward. Another siege tank does get taken out, but it's so funny actually, all that distance fighting.
Yeah.
That gateway that Classic threw down earlier probably cost TY maybe 1,500 minerals in terms of lost mining time. That was crazy.
Classic's finally taking the last spot.
Yeah.
We're out of bases. It's that kind of game, everybody.
Setting up an outpost in the middle too with cannons, shield batteries, and I might be one of the players that, I'm a little bit biased because Protoss is my main race, but personally I do feel like Terran is a little bit favored in these extreme late game scenarios because the static defense is just so solid, especially with missile turrets. Once they get high sync auto tracking, it's hard to really dive on them. And the long range of Vikings and the cost efficiency, I mean, you truly just need to defend.
Yeah,
I mean,
you just kind of wait it out and let the clock run, right?
Yeah, I mean, proton cannons are good, especially in the early game, but late game, they're nothing compared to a mineral-based economy that's functioning on orbitals and planetaries and missile turrets for defense, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Vikings, you don't really think of them as that nimble, but they are fast enough to snipe nexuses and pick up and leave.
Certainly in this case.
What is with the sets of immortal pairs moving around the map that aren't getting anything done?
He's just trying to take out bases like this one. But TY now with battle cruisers out means that this is not really a viable strategy anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the last of these little immortal hit squads that we saw coming out of Classic, as the window is pretty much past.
So he's going to have DT blink. The idea is he just blinks right on top of the CC and it dies before TY can really react.
Yeah, and then maybe recall out or go for another base depending on the army positioning. And it'll be a good move. He will get this planetary. Coming out into the middle of the map, armor shredding missile will connect with these carriers.
Move here, okay.
Yeah, not the best.
That's so funny. The cannons are like, no, we're still here.
Yeah, shield batteries.
No, not so much, my friend.
Pretty good. And oh, the mothership actually recalling him. Terran's
so
also
funny.
teleporting back home.
This is really like this.
It's like a battle from Star Trek or something. Everybody's just like phasing out. Just going for these leads.
It's like, you know, you go to this side of the board, I go to the other side of the board. But he has kept the Terran off of those two bases on the upper right, and he's going to start to push in here. Can he actually break this position open? I mean, the Vikings aren't here, so the carriers can kind of have their way.
Yeah, Classic is doing a good job of controlling the game, but you know, TY also, with those battle cruisers, was able to deny that top right expansion. And looking at the banks, definitely favoring Classic at this point, but it's hard for me to tell whether that means he's truly leading. You know, I mean, it's so hard to call in these kind of split map scenarios.
Well, let's go big picture for a second. Protoss has a crazier bank with both way more minerals and way more gas. You can warp in, you know, all your basic tier 1 units. Obviously, you have to make everything else from the Stargate and the Robo, et cetera, et cetera. But Protoss has had way more of the map. Terran has had, like, occupancy over parts of the map on the edges, but hasn't really mined from it. That's kind of true for Protoss as well. But, you know, Terran should be mining out in this sort of quadrant position that he's been in, right? For longer. Or, sorry, should mine out sooner.
Yeah, especially with a high worker count that TY's had at this point.
Yeah, and mules, right? I mean, I'm sure he's scanned a lot too, but eventually mules will have sucked up everything else. So, pretty soon there's only going to be 1 or 2 bases Terran can mine from. That, I think, is going to be true for Protoss, but I think it might even be slightly later. And again, I could be wrong about that. This is kind of a tricky one to call, just looking at a big picture. But I think in this situation, if Protoss can trade into the Terran, I think he's going to have the funds to remake quite a lot and can then maybe swing the game. Even if it's like just charge zealots that go to a command center and force it to pick up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there is potential for that. I'm looking at the mini-map now, and I think in terms of mineral fields, you kind of hit the nail on the head, where Classic does have, it seems, at least a little bit more. So this top right base here for TY is going to be a point of interest for both players, as Classic would love to try and deny that yet again.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he just has like a little bit more mineral patches kind of everywhere.
5 more Stargates in production. I think that's, what, 10 in total or something? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Love the Stalker Warping coming in just to deny those Vikings.
Oh my God, great storms. Oh.
That's a lot of damage.
I don't even know what to say right now.
Yeah, the battle
such a weird fight.
Battle cruisers are going to teleport out of that, as it was not a favorable engagement, although the shields for Classic's army did dissipate, and Classic just going to recall back to safety now.
And then look at this. And, you know, the Stalkers,
what a funny move.
There are hardly any gas, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're basically like zealots. You know, minerals in a long game like this don't really mean that much, but he can run in and trade those out for tanks.
Yeah, that's true.
And look at where we're at. It's kind of back to that quadrant.
Yeah, it does seem like it's Classic's MO, just to try and keep TY on these 5 bases, and TY just continuously keeps trying to re-expand here to this top right expansion. And you know, with DT run-bys and potentially more attacks like what we just saw with Templar, Tempest, Carriers, it will be difficult for TY to secure that position. I like that this is the play that he's making right now, going for an expansion now in the bottom left. Meanwhile, building another command center to lift up to the top right. Bit of a double expansion, and wow, even Void Arrays getting mixed in here for Classic. A unit that I frankly don't see very often in these situations. I'm not really sure what to make of it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good against battle cruisers, but Yamato and also Vikings pick them up so easily, right?
Yeah, but maybe you're okay with that, having them in the front, because you kind of have to get rid of them with the Yamatos, right? And then the carriers stay alive.
That's tough. Oh, there's energy on these Templar. Yeah, that's a big storm. Oh,
what?
Blink coming in with the battle cruiser on top of all the carriers. The entire Sky Army here, but Classic is falling fast. Stalkers are getting warped in on the low ground, but there are so many battle cruisers with so much HP. Classic right now, he's remaxing back at home, but he lost almost his entire fleet.
He did, but what is going to be remade from this? Right now, definitely an advantage here for TY as he continues to roam. He used his warp, so it's not a quick trip. But we're gonna have, I think you're right. I think it's 10 battle cruisers. Oh, sorry, 10 carriers. How many battle cruisers are in this game right now?
13. I don't think 10 carriers beats this. It's gonna take 2 rounds of production from these Stargates to really make something happen.
If you can pair it with Stalkers, because again, remember, Terran's gonna run out of money. Terran has 800-ish gas. Sub 2K. Protoss actually isn't that far off either, to be honest.
Yeah, but
1.4 is just double in gas. So.
Stalkers, even with their bonus damage against armor, they do not fare well against max upgraded battle cruisers, and so I would expect to see them go for more hit and run tactics. I think really for Classic, the unit that's going to deal with the BCs, it's going to be Tempest, but you know, when BCs, when they blink on top of your army like that, it really does kind of negate that kiting ability that you have. And oh, okay, here we go.
Now look at this. He just ignores it and goes elsewhere.
Yeah.
And that recall from the battle cruisers is a resource in of itself. Now, he can keep sending the zealots out. Now remember, Protoss is still mining from a lot.
Right.
I think. I wish we could actually do like a full check here, but
well, just based on incomes right now, 3,000 resources per minute to the 800 minerals per minute there for TY. Gas income coming in as well here for Classic. The standing army for TY, 100% better than what Classic has, but Classic, he does have mobility.
Yeah, and he's able to kind of chip away at this. Now, attack is coming down here. We got a lot of resources over there. Stalkers coming in. We do have Templars for Psystorm. A lot of Tempest, dude. Crazy amount of Tempest. There's 9 Tempests out here right now.
I'm wondering how many more are in production as base does get taken out. Classic now re-expanding to the bottom left. In the top right corner of the map, if you're wondering what that unit is, it is the mothership. So there is potential for some more recall shenanigans from Classic. Should that top right base get saturated, he can recall units to that mothership and then recall back out, similar to the way the BCs are used.
Now, notice this too. He took out that command center. There were actually 3 patches there. Terran's not working with a lot.
No,
and he's going to take this one out too. Now look at the minerals for Terran right now. It's about 1,000.
Planetary's down too.
And you know, oh, look, he's going to try to box him in. I think he could just use a recall to save these. He will.
For that range, I think that's a mothership recall. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Coming here into the top right. Battle cruisers are going to come in. That mothership almost certainly will be taken out.
But I think he's okay with that.
Yeah.
Now again, TY might still be able to pull this off, but this is like a really unusual game here.
Oh, interesting position to bank these units here for Classic, by the way, all the way in the bottom left corner.
So where is Terran mining from? I guess the like 1 o'clock base?
At 1 o'clock and also soon to be in the top right base.
There's only 28 workers right now. Notice the Stalkers, I mean, they're not ideal against battle cruisers, but they can snipe straight battle cruisers.
And very small numbers, yeah. This is the situation that they do shine in. They can actually pick up some kills.
We have 4 more Tempests coming here. We don't have any attacking units being made. There's 5 SCVs being made.
Classic has 5,000 minerals in the bank and almost 0 gas, by the way. So
that's right.
It is a little bit. It can be a little bit.
This is
what's
kind
the
of
word?
Right now, when they engage each other, I mean, somebody has to win and kind of snowball it because there's not enough gas in the game. I mean, yeah, you could both just make a bunch of Marines and Zealots or something, right? But you know, most likely it's going to be somebody either has battle cruisers or a Protoss that has air support and can kind of swing it and take out this last base.
I would love for the observer to click on these Vespene geysers here in the triangle there from Classic and see exactly how much they have left. And man, Classic, if he's able to trade out Zealots and Stalkers here for Vikings, this is so good because he's trading minerals for gas. And the army that he has right now in the sky, 13 Tempests, only 2 carriers. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get at least 1 battle cruiser.
The fact that the BCs right now have their teleport ability on cooldown is huge.
Yeah, and you know, these things, they really do begin to add up. The little bits of damage that are happening here and there. The fact that the Zealots are starting to take out these depots. The fact that the Stalkers are starting to snipe a Viking here, a battlecruiser there. The fact that, you know, the only way he can come back is to either bring back the slow Vikings, which, again, they have to trade out. They're not being repaired, by the way, which makes the air fleet a little bit weaker.
Yeah, and trading out more Vikings for gateway units. This favors Classic. Classic with literally 0 gas income at this point, and Widow Mines are going to spot this coming in. But keep in mind, this army that you see on screen, this is basically all Classic has to fight the battle cruisers. And if there's one good engagement for TY, if he gets the battle cruisers to jump right on top of that Protoss army, it could still just be GG. It doesn't matter how many of these buildings that Classic is able to kill.
The Yamatos could just all connect.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, TY's army, 14 battle cruisers and 18 Vikings, that is still terrifying. Although all of these trades that Classic is doing are so good for him, it's a very scary proposition considering the fact that Classic can remax with literally 4 Stalkers as anti-air and nothing else. Maybe a Void Ray, maybe 1 Tempest, but that's not going to win the game. He needs gas.
These Widow Mines are really big, by the way. Just slowly eating away at these Zealots.
Eventually, push is going to come to shove, and TY is going to pounce on the position of Classic with these battle cruisers, and whoever wins that fight will decide the fate of this game, I think.
He's going to come into the main. I didn't really expect this.
This might be an overextension.
I feel like this can't be the right play. I thought he was going to go to the base at the top right, but maybe that's the idea. Maybe he can send Zealots up there now.
Yeah, he is committing hard. There are also missile turrets here. This is going to make kiting even more difficult. Only 2 carriers, BCs. Okay, recall comes through. All right, so that was the play. Oh, man. Skirting disaster.
Now, technically, the Terran's income right now is actually better.
Absolutely, especially with the gas. I mean, Classic needs to start mining gas. There's no way that every single gas guy who on his side of the map is depleted.
Yeah, he chases that away.
I mean, these ones are out. The ones at the 9 o'clock are not.
He's going to try to bait out one more move, and then he's going to recall over to the upper right. That's the play. He's got the mothership ready. So he wants to try to confirm that the air fleet's over here. Now he's going to see the battle cruisers there, which means he goes, okay, well then I'm going to just destroy your main. I'm going to destroy all your starports.
What a crazy game.
And once, because the Vikings are not enough. The Vikings are supposed to be kind of like a deterrent, but if he sends just the Vikings, then I think he can kill the Vikings, right?
Yeah, it's going to take another recall. Battle cruisers should be off cooldown soon. Vikings are able to pick off 1 Tempest, and
yeah, the carrier's taking a lot of damage here.
Yeah.
All right, so he's done it. He's forced the recall. He's going to go over here, and he's going to try to hit the top right. I think that actually TY wins this game.
I think TY does as well. I mean, the gas income is still non-existent for Classic.
Yeah.
He has 11 Tempests and 5 Stalkers. That's not going to beat the 11 Vikings and 14 battle cruisers of TY. TY is mining gas, he's mining minerals. These tactics, these hit-and-run tactics are so good, but they cannot match the force of TY's army. And here we go, Yamato's now coming in on the Tempest. There's only 11 of them on the field. Classic needs to do stutter step micro to have any chance of fighting these BCs.
Yeah,
but
I think that's game. I think he actually did it.
Wow.
He very patiently chopped up the battle cruisers, took out the last Nexus, and has enough battle cruisers to defend this. It looks like Classic's going to try to push through here, but I think there's just too much air support. Even if he were to kill the command center, he would just be able to lift off another one and land it over there.
Yeah, and with such a low Tempest count, I mean, you only need to teleport a couple of BCs at the time, too, as we see TY doing now, and that's the last of the anti-air here for Classic, and TY wins a 30-minute slugfest.
What a game. Man. TY bringing the Mech versus Protoss. We haven't had a game like that in forever for that matchup.
And what a crazy one, too. I mean, Classic made the best effort he possibly could with these hit-and-run tactics, with Zealots and Stalkers moving across the map, trying to trade gateway units for gas units because he recognized how dire the situation was, but he could never get his gas income back online. There was a 10-minute, it felt like, period, where the gas income was completely stunted there for Classic, and as a result, he was never able to reinforce that critical anti-air. TY builds up the ultimate Sky army.
You know, I gotta say, one thing I did notice, like, he never cleared out those mines. There were so many Zelts that were just bled off.
Yeah.
That kind of allowed the Terran to mine that up enough to where the Terran didn't have to commit on the Protoss. The Protoss had to commit on the Terran. But, I mean, you could spend hours talking about that game. There was so much happening there. We're going to go to map number 2 right now. TY 1-0 versus Classic. Again, this is the final best of 3 in Group A. The winner moves on to the round of 8. The loser dies and is out of the GSL.
2023 GSL Season 2. Twisted Minds Classic. Guangdong Freaks TY.
Is TY gonna mech again? That's what I'm wondering.
I bet he does.
I can't recall exactly, but I feel like basically every game that he has won so far today has been on the back of mech.
I think you're right.
At least 2, possibly all 3.
You know, yeah, I would not be shocked if he met. He seems to have, like, in all the matchups come with that. Welcome back, TY. Watching since 2010. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
Hope you get that autograph. Make sure to stick around out of the show. After the show,
right.
Should be able to get a chance.
By the way, I hope my voice has been holding up for this cast.
It has been.
I was sick for 10 days before this GSL. So I was like, my throat is still like swollen. I'm not contagious, but like, man.
Yeah, you seem healthy now, but just dealing with the collateral damage.
Yeah, man.
Takes a while to get that health meter back to full.
It's rough, man. I remember being a kid and just loving being sick. I'm like, I don't have to go to school. I play games all day, and then I'm an adult, and I'm like, I still play games all day, and this is terrible.
The morning cartoons were also the best cartoons, too.
They were the best, man.
I feel like such a special treat to get to watch those.
Yeah.
Nowadays, these kids, they just watch them on like any streaming platform. They don't understand.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's 11:30. That's when this cartoon comes on. By the way, proxied Stargate. So, whether or not we have mech, we don't know if we will. But this game may end up really coming down to whether or not TY can survive what Classic has planned for him.
Yeah. Classic has been doing this a fair bit in his PVTs. We haven't seen it too much today, this Proxy Stargate into what I'm assuming is going to be 1 Oracle and then Blink, but I love how much he has been mixing it up so far today.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of build order difference, because, you know, we talked about this in Group D of last season, how often he would just go back to his bread and butter, which was Phoenix, Colossus, every single game, it felt like. It just was so flimsy, you know? In theory, sometimes it can work, and by the way, this Reaper actually, I should have paid it more respect. I didn't expect it to get this much damage. I should have been talking about this from the beginning. 2 probes in total going down, a full scout. Reaper takes pretty much no damage. He emerges unscathed. Classic was able to do a little bit of counter damage in the natural expansion of TY. I think he might have gotten 1 SCV, although that might be both SCVs in the bunker.
Oh, I think that's actually what it is. I think they fled back in there, but yeah.
But yeah, Classic, he is really reinventing himself with this matchup this season, and it's so refreshing to see. I hope that we get a Game 3 no matter what here today, because
I think we definitely could. I mean, honestly, there's another world where Classic won that last game. I mean, that was a really interesting one where it was like really hard to call until the very end. Honestly, I was casting it as if Classic was going to win. Cyclone's going to be ready, and I think it's going to be just out of vision range. So I think he can actually get this one.
Maybe with a scan, didn't have one in the bag. I mean, even if he did have a scan, it would have been very close. I think it would have come down to the final hit. Yeah,
but
it's going to be...
It's a bit painful when you send the Oracle in and you know, immediately it gets shut down and put back out. I think I saw... No, sorry. I actually thought I saw 3 gates. It's 2 more gateways being made here. Sometimes when you see this build, you will see the additional gates, and they'll really try to lean in onto the position.
And not really Classic style. He's been more favoring, you know, one Oracle, go into 3-gate Blink, add a row behind it, and then you kind of get back to that typical Classic mid-game style where you have a handful of Blink Stalkers, Colossus, and eventually just try to stabilize on those 3 bases, get to 4 with charge disruptors. So we'll see if he's able to do it. I'm watching TY's production tab with interest. He is going for stim. He's building an engineering bank, so it seems like it will not be mech this time.
Now again, the role here for TY is really one of survival, right? I mean, he's just kind of trying to build into a safe spot where he's going to have his turn to come out on the map. What Classic wants to do here is come in here and trip him up and kind of find that Achilles heel or find the jugular or whatever it's going to be that's going to allow him to kind of get in there and do that critical damage. But, you know, there's really only one of 2 ways this can go. It's either going to be Classic getting the killing blow or TY with a perfect parry. I think we could get the rare chance where they, you know, it's a back and forth and they both trade out and the game goes on. But let's see if he can get that. He just sold off the bunker, so this is like kind of the moment you want to try to blink in.
Yeah, but TY's ground army with 20 Marines feels like it might still be tough to deal with. Oracle turns on a dime, but TY, I don't think, stim pack is done, so he is able to stim away.
It finished like as he saw the Oracle.
Yikes.
It was actually a really confusing moment to try to cast, because I'm like, wait a minute, he should be able to stim and kill that. Oh, he can't. He's a second late.
This is a scary moment for Classic, actually. Should this Marine count continue to balloon? Because we only do have those 3 Adepts and 9 Stalkers on the ground. There is 1 Oracle as well, and yes, although there is Blink on the field, Colossus still a fair bit of time away. TY throwing down a very late 3rd command center here. I was thinking he would try to find some damage with this group of units that he has on the field right now, but perhaps no. No combat shields does make it a little bit harder to micro against this. It's about 1 less hit for the Stalkers to kill these Marines.
They're a little bit squishier. And for now, Classic just continues to roam. He's not going to be able to get in there, though. With this placement of that siege tank, the way TY's developing, TY's looking very, very comfortable. He's going to get more barracks down here. He's not even necessarily going to try to push out and win. He can get his 3rd CC, land that up, and go into a different game. By the way, no mech.
Yeah, no mech.
We're not in that game at all. I really thought we were going to have it again, but TY going to try to close this one out on a very different note.
Yeah, 5 barracks in total will be the build of choice here for TY as he's feeling a little bit more confident moving across the map now. And yeah, I do wonder whether he will go for a 4th command center and try to play for more of a Maru-esque mid and late game, or if he'll pull the trigger and go for a timing attack, because the siege tank production from TY has not been constant. He only has 2 on the field right now. The 3rd one is about to pop as Cyclone barely gets the last hit off on that Oracle. And you know, for me, seeing this low siege tank count makes me think that it is not going to be something that's one push that's going to happen anytime particularly soon. Maybe something much later in the game is in the cards here for TY. Is for now, it seems he's happy just to set up this 3rd base and play defense back at home.
Just getting their little feet wet there.
It's a funny sound, actually.
They should leave little footprints when they walk across the map.
I haven't heard this sound very, very often, I don't think. It's almost out of place.
Yeah,
like a nature game or something.
Inappropriate, right? Like, it's just like this epic battle game. You're like,
it's oddly peaceful.
Yeah. So right now, Classic stays outside of range. He's got a good setup to try to poke into the main, blink in, and then run up there with the Colossus. But he's going to come over here instead. This is a lot. Is this going to be too much?
Classic blinks in, is able to take out the first siege tank, but that is a wide arc of Terran units. I think this might be a bad engagement.
Oh my god. I mean, the Colossi are still kind of doing a lot of damage, but ultimately he's just able to dive and cut right through. And, you know, I was a little bit surprised when Classic attacked in, but I thought, well, let's see how this actually pans out. Maybe he's got a timing. Well, he clearly doesn't. Sometimes this is how you see a pro win a game, is the other guy just completely bungles an attack in there.
Yeah, that was about as good a concave as going to get in that situation. And right now on the field, Classic has 8 Stalkers and 1 Disruptor and not a lot of money in the bank. If TY had God Vision like we do right now as casters observing this game, I think he would push across and just end this thing. Instead, he's going to wait. He's going to build up a little bit more. He's been teching up to Ghost during all of this, so he's going to wait until he has a number of those out to make the push. But that was so many critical units lost for Classic that for now, his game plan, he has to buy time to remax. I mean, he is building not only a second, but a third robotics facility back at home as kind of a Hail Mary play to get some unit composition out that can deal with this, as wonky as it might be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Classic went something like almost pure Blinkstalker Disruptor, because truly it's going to be a very difficult fight for him to deal with this army on screen right now.
Well, I mean, TY is going to try to seize the moment here. He's going to try to come forward here. There's quite a lot of tanks. TY's control is superb. He only drops a Marauder and baits out the second shot. It does nothing. There's some Zealots that are going to run around and try to hit this, but I'm a little bit worried here. I mean, if Classic can't get control here and keep this Nexus alive, he may just die out.
All right, Disruptor Truck comes in. Ghosts are able to avoid it. Nice control here by TY, losing almost nothing as the bio continues to shell the left side of this base. Disruptor on a bad rally coming in. Classic, during all of this, is raiding the third base with Zealots. More units getting warped in, but this triangle Nexus, it is forfeit. The probes are going to go and try and saturate the fourth base. 3 more Disruptors in production, but it feels like Classic might be on his last legs.
Yeah, he just doesn't have enough. I don't know if TY wants to just try to pull away from this or if he wants to push into the main, but like, this is pretty bad, man. Where are these? Oh.
He's saturated already at the third base. He has 70 probes, so just going to send them to the fourth, build a Nexus there. And the Disruptors, they just keep coming. Classic knows that he is in such a bad position. He needs to do something truly absurd and just hope that some of these Disruptor shots connect. He has 8 Disruptors on the field right now, building 3 more at a time out of those robos.
I mean, at this point in time, it's really hard to see Classic winning a fight. I think the only play is to have Disruptor shots that oh my God, almost do like what we thought might happen a second ago there. Wow, nothing, not a zilch, zero. And, you know, at this point in time, it just seems like every little attempt that Classic has to try to get any headway here on the map, it's backfiring. TY is almost maxed out, and I don't think it's going to be long before TY pushes down to the bottom right and flattens those spaces as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And Classic moving across the map like this is not him confident in his position. This is him recognizing he needs to do everything in his power to get whatever seconds back that he can, because he wants to close the distance on maxing out. If he can max and take, say, one good engagement where TY bungles the splits on the Disruptors or maybe gets caught by some Disruptors going for a flanking maneuver, suddenly Classic might find his way back in this game. I mean, he has 3 robos. He's been double expanding behind all of this, but he has to weather the storm that is TY coming. Nice blink forward, able to section off a good number of this bio. We'll see if the Disruptor shots are there. He does get at least 1 ghost, so he will force back his position for now, but look at the 6 o'clock tasteless. TY about to take down another base.
Yeah, he can part ways with the army over there on the left if he can just clean up the space down here. That being said, the supplies are pretty even, but, you know, growth for TY is looking so good. And look, I mean, look how long it's going to take Classic to walk across the map and do this. In fact, I think he realizes that as I'm casting it, decides to maybe try to come from another angle, either to intercept this as it tries to come back home.
And TY is just going to pick up and either move to the natural expansion or that very far fifth base. Yeah, main is also, there's a lot of good options here for him.
I guess getting these robos is actually very, very attractive.
And Disruptors are such a good unit for zoning out right now because the Stalker count is so low, and it's very difficult for Classic actually to come into this position in a cost-efficient way. You see the Disruptors just getting melted by the Liberators. At least the Warp Prism comes out, allows some micro potential, but Classic's army is so immobile. The siege tanks, or not siege tanks, excuse me, the run-by coming into the top, the triangle third is also going to fall. I think TY might be moving on.
I think he's basically closed it out.
Oh my God,
40 kills on the workers.
What a game by TY. What a series, what a day.
This has been really something else. And man, you know, I was so excited that TY was back. I didn't really think he was going to be able to survive the group of death. I mean, Maru is already enough of a problem, but when you incorporate Classic and Bunny, you think, no, there's no way. But here it is, it's happening. TY, after having such a long hiatus, after coming into Legacy of the Void in really a very, very different era of the game where the matchups themselves are operating in a very different way, and he is able to come out on top.
Classic is going to try one last Hail Mary play. Only 3 mining bases, and 2 of them are only mining maybe half at that. So he's going to come here into the expansion planetary fortress. Nice connection with his disruptor shop at the bio for TY. There might just be too much. This army is almost pure disruptor. All the disruptors popping, trying to take down the planetary fortress out of spite. But the supply's ballooning now for TY. Classic is tournament life on the line, doing everything he can to try to fight back. But, I mean, we can see everything right now in Classic.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers just aren't there. He's going to try to attack into this planetary once more. Great repairs there, buy even more time as Stalkers continue to fall. The ground armor upgrade is going to finish, but oh so late, another Warpent comes in.
Oh, these 4 disruptors, they just want to kill this planetary, man. They want a consolation prize for this game as TY pushes across the other side of the map. A recall might come through for Class, but he could very well easily tap out. 89 supply to 178. He's trying his best to make anything happen. Getting on the production team for TY is a nice step, but the forces for Terran here just overwhelming.
Yeah, there's just too much. And I mean, you know, at this point in time, there's going to be enough that can be produced, or, you know, in fact, he can even try to pick up with what he's got here and go back home. The infrastructure is going to be destroyed. You can't make any more robo units. Soon you can't make any more gateway units. And there's so much of an income right now here for TY.
Yeah, this is all but doomed here for Classic. He gave it a valiant effort. He showed a day's worth of great games, but at the end of the day, it's going to be TY advancing on. Classic just digesting this defeat.
It's actually kind of crazy how far Classic's managed to take this.
Yeah, but I mean, just look at the main base. 22 workers for Classic, 14 army supply. You can see the look on his face.
He finally processed it. He's like, yeah, this is it.
I mean, it was a valiant effort, but
GG.
TY advances from arguably the group of death here in the round of 16 of GSL Code S.
I gotta say, this is already such a crazy story. The 2 Terran gods move on, one from the current and one from the past. And look, TY, I mean, he had some shaky games for sure against Maru, but who doesn't? And you know what? They're not gonna be interacting with each other for a long time in this tournament if they have to cross paths again.
Yeah, I mean, Classic, it was a great day for him. This is a tough matchup for Protoss right now in the current meta. PBT, he came through with some clean ideas, but wasn't able to advance. And now we're going to hear from the second player to advance from Group A.
No more TY casting for a little bit longer, man. Okay, TY, congratulations.
예, 감사합니다.
Thank you.
표정 관리 하고 계신 건지 굉장히 기쁜 상태입니까?
사실 오늘 기대를
You look very happy. Tell us about your thoughts.
상황이라서 이렇게 올라가게 될 줄 몰랐는데
I didn't have really any expectations today if I was going to qualify or not. I didn't know.
이렇게 올라가게 되니까 뭔가 꿈을 꾸는 것 같고.
It seems like my choice in the game itself was a little bit better than what my opponent had planned.
일단 모든 걸 거두절미하고 한 가지는 물어보겠습니다. 편하게 이제
This is my first offline match after a long time, so obviously I'm very happy to have won.
5,800점, 5,000 썰이 많던데.
What is your MMR on ladder?
사실 정말 열심히 했거든요. 매 레더를 한 게임 한 게임 열심히 했는데도
I
불구하고
played my hardest today.
5,800점에서 못 올라가겠더라고요. 그래서 사실 좀 좌절을 많이 했어요.
I can go over what my MMR is.
그래서
Probably over 5,800.
상대방 스타일 성향을 최대한 맞추려고 했고 이건 맞춤 빌드가 아니면 이길 수 없겠다 실력적으로 그런 판단이 계속해서
Anyways, I've spent a lot of time basically prepping my build orders based on my opponent's playstyle, and that's the only key you need to win. That's what matters. All my prep, it paid off according to how my opponents played. So anyways, I'm happy about that.
나오게 되면 가장 중요한 건 내가 중요한 걸 얼마나 잘 보여줄 수 있느냐의 싸움이잖아요. 오늘 승패를 떠나서 여러 가지 재미있는 빌드 보고 여러 타이밍을 준비했는데 원 없이 보여주는 데 성공했나요?
네.
So,
제가
what you said is all about execution in offline matchups.
변칙적인 플레이를 많이 했는데 이게 낮은 점수대에서 낮은 그 점수대에서
Well, anyways, I had a bit of a different approach to my opponents than I guess what I would normally do on ladder. On ladder, I'm just kind of grinding out basics.
변칙적인 플레이를 프로 선수들도 오랜만에 당하다 보니까 또 대회에서 그렇기 때문에 좀 대처가 많이 미흡했던 것 같아요.
그래서 이제 최종전을 놓고 보면 1세트 네오 휴머니티에서 전버했잖아요.
Oh, he's mentioned that he didn't have a chance to really play pros on the ladder, so, you know, he kind of had to lab out his own stuff, basically.
그 소위 5천 패스 분들에게 영감을 얻은 건가요?
사실 메카닉으로 버티면서
Since you have low MMR right now,
그 유령을 조합해서 한방 싸움을 하려고 했는데
seems like you're inspired to try to improve and bring in a new TY here.
괜찮다는 얘기를 들어가지고 즉흥적으로 좀 변화를 줬는데 역시 최종 병기
I think it's some tips from some of the other players.
세더라고요.
뭐 남메크성에서 트레이닝을 하고 왔네요. 어쨌든.
Did you hear what Unity said? I did not.
No, I think he just was talking about the meta.
Oh, but
What's strong in the current meta?
Okay, they was here what's strong in the current meta. All right. Thought I heard a unit, sorry. So you said your goal initially was to make it to the round of 16. What are your new goals? And do you have anything you want to say to the fans? Personally, I think I showed a good performance today. I hope my fans are satisfied. Obviously, I couldn't make the cut last season since I made it to the quarterfinals. I'm going to have to get further than that now, so keep your eyes on me. I'm going to give my all this season. That's it. That's the interview. Man, TY advances. You know, that's a cool story.
Yeah, what a day in the GSL. You know, we're 2 for 2 also with Terran players advancing already from the round of 16.
Oh, God, you're right. This season sucks. I take it all back. More
Truly,
Terran
though,
domination.
Every single series that we casted today had such great games. I mean, Group A today was an absolute treat. We knew it was going to be fantastic matches coming into it.
Right.
It went above and beyond in terms of delivering. Some of my favorite games from the year already were played in this group, and Maru and TY advancing in pretty incredible fashion.
Great games. You know, props to Classic. I think he showed a very good range. I think Protoss is in a tough spot right now. No doubt. Terrans seem to really have gotten a handle on the game. And look, this might be the group of death, but I think these other groups are really exciting. You don't want to miss them. Again, every Tuesday and Thursday, 6:30 p.m. KST. Because when GSL is going to be starting, we've got 3 weeks of nonstop action, then a week off. We're going to come back on that Thursday for the finals with a studio audience. That's right. You can come down to our event here in Samsung Station. Tickets are about $6, 8,000 won.
Yeah. So on Thursday, round of 16 Group B will be Hero, Nightmare, Ragnarok, and beyond. As Chase said, 6:30 p.m. KST. Do not want to miss it. Should be a really exciting one. Hero, one of the only other Protoss hopes here in GSL Code S.
He didn't play that well last season. It was kind of weird. We were really, you know, starting the season off being like, well, I mean, Hero's going to be probably in the finals, and then he died out pretty fast. But that's why we got a couple seasons a year. Nightmare, obviously, welcoming back him. You know, he's always one of these guys that's overshadowed, I'd say, by the other players in GSL. Byun has looked to improve quite a bit. He's been very motivated. He's been in good form. And Ragnarok, obviously, just recently has been in the best condition he's ever been in before.
Yeah, I would love to see Ragnarok get some redemption and have a good performance here, a good run in GSL Code S Season 2. Oh, yeah, on-site
tickets
viewing
go on
guide.
sale on Friday.
Yeah, so I think they can buy the tickets for the Thursday match online for next week. And each following week, those tickets go on sale the Friday after we cast.
Sometimes we sell out tickets, other times we don't. Today we had a pretty full studio, but there were still seats open. So if you want to ensure that you get in, especially if you're traveling here, buy the tickets. My hand's blocked. Buy the tickets Friday. Was it Korea time Friday? Friday. Just go for Friday. You should be okay.
Yeah, Korean time on Friday.
Okay.
I think
Korean
it's
time Friday.
7:30 p.m. or something. If not, just go back. You can do that.
You can rewind
go back
the
to the
video.
VOD.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely do that. I know we have a lot of people that fly out here, and I'm happy that those people that fly out here can finally see the GSL live again. That makes me so happy.
So good having a live audience
Warms
again.
my little nerd heart.
Yeah.
So that's all the time we have, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll be back Thursday, 6:30 p.m. KST. We love you. Bye-bye.